Room 3 is ready. Maya Torres looked up from the hospital bed so fast the IV line tugged against her arm. A nurse had said those exact words 10 minutes earlier while clipping Maya's chart to the end of her bed. They were supposed to wheel her into room 3. Now, Dr. Evan Mercer stood in front of her with his hands buried in his coat pockets, barely making eye contact. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. We've had an equipment malfunction, he said flatly. Your procedure is canceled. You'll need to reschedule. Maya blinked at him. What? Around her, monitors still beeped. Surgical staff still moved through the hallway. Someone nearby was literally opening sterilized instrument trays. Her mother stood up immediately. Canceled? She's been fasting since yesterday. You told us this was urgent. Dr. Mercer finally looked at them, expression hardening. Mrs. Torres, neurosurgery schedules can change instantly. If you interfere with medical operations, security can escort you out. The room went silent. Maya felt heat rush into her face. 8 months of seizures. 8 months of waiting. She'd signed every paper, borrowed money for transportation, quit shifts at work after collapsing during one seizure, and now he was dismissing her in less than 30 seconds. Then she noticed something strange. Down the hallway, a sharply dressed couple stood beside an administrator. Expensive watches. Designer clothes. The man shook hands with someone from hospital leadership like they already knew each other. And a few seconds later, Maya saw an unconscious young man being wheeled past her bed. Toward room 3. Her room 3. Wait, Maya whispered. A nurse pushed the gurney through the operating doors. Another nurse leaned toward the surgical desk and quietly said, Room 3 is ready now. Maya froze. Dr. Mercer immediately noticed where she was looking. Discharge her, he said sharply to the staff beside him. The nurse at Maya's bedside suddenly avoided eye contact as she began disconnecting monitors. By the time Maya changed back into her clothes, the operating doors had already shut behind the other patient. Nobody explained anything. Nobody apologized. The drive home felt unreal. Her mother kept muttering that maybe emergencies happened all the time, maybe they had no choice. Maybe arguing would only make things worse. Maya stared out the window, replaying the moment that boy disappeared into surgery while she was sent home like an inconvenience. That night, while trying to drink water in her apartment kitchen, dizziness slammed into her without warning. The glass slipped from her hand. Her body hit the floor. When Maya woke up, her mother was kneeling beside her, crying into a phone while paramedics checked her pulse. Another seizure. Hours later, exhausted and shaking in bed, Maya stared at the dark ceiling of her room while the hospital wristband still clung to her arm. Then her phone rang. Blocked number. She answered cautiously. Hello? For a second, there was only breathing. Then a nervous female voice whispered, You weren't canceled because of equipment. Maya sat upright instantly. Who is this? The woman ignored the question. You need to be careful what you ask them. And the call disconnected. Maya barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the operating room doors shutting, while another patient took her place. By morning, her body still ached from the seizure. Her tongue was sore where she'd bitten it. Her muscles twitched with leftover exhaustion, but the blocked call kept replaying in her head. You weren't canceled because of equipment. Her mother stood at the stove making coffee, avoiding eye contact. Maybe don't call anyone yet, she said carefully. You still need them, Maya. Maya leaned against the counter. So I'm supposed to pretend I didn't see someone else go into my surgery? I'm saying don't make enemies with the people controlling whether you get treated. That sentence sat heavily in the room. Maya grabbed her phone and opened the hospital patient portal. Her surgery status had updated overnight. Not canceled. Completed preparation. Her stomach tightened. What does that even mean? She immediately called the surgical desk. A receptionist answered brightly. Neurosurgery department. Hi, Maya said, forcing calm into her voice. I think there's confusion with my paperwork. My surgery was canceled yesterday, but the app says completed preparation. Silence. Keyboard clicks. Then the woman's tone changed completely. Can I place you on hold? Before Maya could answer, the line transferred. 30 seconds later, the call disconnected. Maya stared at the phone. That wasn't normal. And suddenly, she couldn't stop thinking about the family in the hallway. The expensive clothes. The private conversations. The way Dr. Mercer barely looked at her while sending her home. Over the past year, Mercer had made comments she ignored at the time. Charity care scheduling requires flexibility. We prioritize based on operational realities. Once, after Maya asked how much longer she'd wait, he'd replied, "Some patients simply have more immediate circumstances." At the time, she thought he meant medical urgency. Now she wasn't so sure. Her seizures had already cost her almost everything. She'd lost shifts at the grocery store after collapsing near the registers. One customer filmed it. The video spread around campus before anyone took it down. She stopped driving after waking up once at a red light with strangers pounding on her window. And through all of it, she kept believing surgery would finally stop her life from shrinking. Her phone rang again. Blocked number. Maya answered instantly. "Who are you?" "It's Lena," the voice whispered. "I'm one of the surgical nurses." Maya moved into her bedroom and shut the door. "Why did you call me?" A shaky breath came through the speaker. Because the operating room worked perfectly all day, Maya's heart started pounding. So they lied? I shouldn't be saying this. Then why was I sent home? Before Lena could answer, a door opened somewhere near her. Maya heard footsteps. Lena's voice changed immediately into a professional tone. "Yes, doctor," she said loudly. "I'm finishing discharge reports now." The line went dead. Maya slowly lowered the phone. Discharge reports, not cancellation reports. A second later, her phone buzzed with a new notification. She opened it. Her insurance had been billed for pre-surgical operating room use. Maya walked into the hospital billing office holding printed screenshots in one hand and her phone recording in the other. The woman behind the desk smiled automatically. "How can I help you today?" Maya dropped the paperwork onto the counter. "You charged my insurance for operating room prep during a surgery that never happened." The clerk scanned the documents. Her smile disappeared almost immediately. "What room were you assigned to?" "Room 3. The clerk's fingers stopped moving on the keyboard. Maya noticed it instantly. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," the woman said too quickly. She clicked through several screens, eyes darting back and forth. Then, before she could stop herself, she muttered, "That's weird." Maya leaned forward. "What's weird?" The clerk swallowed. "There's another patient attached to that operating room during the same time frame." Maya felt her pulse spike. "Another patient?" The clerk suddenly realized what she'd said. She looked up sharply. At that exact moment, a man in a gray administrator badge stepped out of an office nearby. "Jessica," he interrupted, voice tight. "Can I speak with you?" The clerk looked panicked. Maya subtly angled her phone toward them, still recording. "I'm just trying to understand," Maya said louder now. "How can 2 surgeries be scheduled in the same room?" People in the waiting area started looking over. The administrator forced a smile. "It's likely a synchronization error in the system." "A synchronization error billed my insurance?" More people turned. A security guard near the elevators began walking toward them. The administrator lowered his voice. "Miss Torres, let's not create confusion in a public area." Then the private elevator opened behind him. Maya immediately recognized the wealthy family from surgery day. The father saw her too. His expression changed instantly. "She shouldn't still be here," he quietly told the administrator. Maya stepped toward them. "Your son was in room 3, wasn't he?" The mother grabbed her purse tighter. "We were told this situation was handled." "Handled?" Maya snapped. "That was my surgery." Several people nearby went silent. The woman looked around nervously before blurting out, "Our son couldn't wait months like other people." The entire waiting room seemed to freeze. Even the security guard slowed down. Maya stared at her. What? The father immediately pulled his wife back. Stop talking. But the damage was done. An older patient sitting nearby muttered, Did they really give someone else her operation? The administrator stepped in fast. This conversation is over. Maya looked directly at the family. Who is he? Nobody answered. Then the mother whispered, almost defensively, he's going into the draft next year. A college athlete. A quarterback. Maya suddenly understood. Her seizures threatened her life. His threatened his career. And somehow, he got the operating room. Security finally approached Maya. Ma'am, you need to leave. The administrator's tone hardened. Continued disruptive behavior can affect future scheduling eligibility. Maya stared at him in disbelief. Are you threatening my treatment? I'm asking you to cooperate. 10 minutes later, Maya walked alone through the parking garage, shaking with anger. She heard footsteps behind her. Lena. The nurse looked terrified. Without stopping, she shoved a thick envelope into Maya's bag. If they know I talked to you, Lena whispered, I'm done. Then, she disappeared back through the hospital doors. Maya locked her apartment door and emptied the envelope onto the kitchen table. Pages spread everywhere. Operating schedules, printed patient logs, handwritten edits in blue ink. Her eyes landed on one line immediately. 8:30 a.m., Maya Torres, room 3. The name had been crossed out. Below it, written in different handwriting, was another patient name she recognized from the billing office. The quarterback, and beside it, stapled crookedly to the schedule, was a memo marked, VIP accommodation approved. Maya sank into a chair. The timestamp showed the schedule change happened hours before Dr. Mercer claimed there was an equipment malfunction, which meant the cancellation excuse had already been planned. Her phone buzzed with a medication reminder. Another warning about seizure risk. Her last scans already showed swelling near the affected area in her brain. One neurologist had quietly told her months ago, if the episodes increase, the consequences can become permanent. Maya stared at the papers. If she exposed the hospital, they could blacklist her completely. If she stayed quiet, she might never get treatment in time. Her phone rang. Lena. I can't talk long, the nurse whispered immediately. Compliance officers are checking badge records. Someone noticed documents missing. Maya looked down at the papers spread across the table. You could lose your job for this. I know. There was movement in the background, like Lena was hiding in a stairwell. Then she asked quietly, Did you look at the timestamps? Maya frowned. What do you mean? Just look carefully. The call ended. An hour later, Maya emailed scanned copies anonymously to a local investigative reporter known for exposing hospital fraud. The response came back faster than she expected. These documents suggest favoritism, but not proof of fabrication. Do you have evidence the equipment issue was false? Maya's chest tightened. Without proof, the hospital could explain everything away. She sat at the kitchen table frustrated while her younger brother Diego looked over the scanned files beside her laptop. Then he suddenly pointed at the screen. Wait. Maya looked over. What? The metadata. What metadata? Diego enlarged the document properties. The cancellation authorization had been digitally signed at 6:12 a.m. The official equipment malfunction report was created at 8:03 a.m. Maya went completely still. They canceled me before the malfunction even existed, she whispered. Proof. Actual proof. Her hands shook as she attached the screenshots to the reporter's email. Then her phone rang again. Unknown number. Maya answered cautiously. Dr. Mercer's voice came through calm and controlled. Miss Torres, her stomach dropped. You've been contacting staff, he said. That's creating serious problems. You lied to me. A pause. Then Mercer sighed softly, like she was being unreasonable. You don't understand how hospitals operate. You gave away my surgery. Careful, he replied. Accusations can follow patients longer than you think. Maya gripped the phone tighter. Mercer continued. voice almost conversational now. No hospital wants a patient who makes problems public. The line disconnected. Silence filled the apartment. On Maya's laptop screen, the reporter's email remained open. Her cursor hovered over send. Maya stared at the screen for nearly a full minute. Then she clicked send. The email disappeared. And with it, any chance of quietly going back to normal. 2 days later, the story exploded online. The reporter published everything at once: leaked operating schedules, double booked or records, insurance billing documents, the altered timestamps proving Maya's surgery had been canceled before the equipment malfunction report even existed. By that afternoon, clips from Maya's confrontation inside the billing office were everywhere. In the recording, hospital staff stumbled over explanations while administrators tried shutting the conversation down. Then came the worst part for the hospital. The article identified the replacement patient as the son of a wealthy donor family whose multi-million-dollar neuroscience wing pledge was under negotiation during the same week Maya lost her surgery slot. The hospital immediately denied wrongdoing. A spokesperson appeared on local news claiming Maya had misunderstood emergency scheduling protocols. But the reporter released another document hours later. The official malfunction report had been filed after the donor patient's operation had already started. The explanation collapsed almost instantly. Public outrage spread fast because Maya's condition was life-threatening, while the quarterback's surgery had been categorized internally as performance-sensitive but stable. Former employees started posting anonymously online. One nurse described donors skipping wait lists. Another claimed executives routinely pressured doctors to protect valuable relationships. By the next morning, news vans lined the street outside the hospital. Maya watched everything unfold from her apartment couch while her phone buzzed nonstop with unknown numbers. Then, Lena called. "They're blaming staff now," she said shakily. "They're saying nurses made scheduling errors." Maya sat upright. "What?" I gave a statement. Lena's voice cracked slightly. She admitted Dr. Mercer personally instructed staff to discharge Maya before the donor family even arrived. According to Lena, Mercer had promised the family their son would avoid delays before championship scouting season. In return, the hospital expected a massive donation for the new neuroscience wing. That night, Dr. Mercer appeared at a press conference surrounded by lawyers and hospital executives. All clinical decisions were medically justified, he said firmly. But halfway through the conference, reporters received internal messages leaked by investigators. One message mentioned protecting high-value relationships. Another discussed keeping Maya cooperative during discharge. Mercer's expression changed the moment reporters began shouting questions. Why was her surgery chart still active during the donor procedure? Did donors influence operating decisions? Did you falsify medical records? For the first time, he looked rattled. 3 hours later, the hospital board announced his immediate suspension. State investigators seized scheduling records, billing systems, and internal communications. Within days, several executives resigned. The donor family became national news after evidence showed they knowingly accepted Maya's surgery slot. One clip of the quarterback's mother saying, "Our son couldn't wait months like other people," spread everywhere online. Meanwhile, Maya finally broke down emotionally when another medical center contacted her directly. The neurologist on the phone spoke carefully. "We reviewed your scans," he said. "We can admit you immediately for evaluation." Maya covered her mouth and started crying before she could answer. Her mother sat beside her, equally emotional. "I told you to stay quiet," she whispered. "I thought keeping your head down would protect you." Weeks later, Maya underwent surgery at the new hospital. Recovery was brutal. Physical therapy exhausted her. The headaches lingered for weeks. But slowly, the seizures began decreasing. For the first time in years, she walked across a parking lot without wondering whether she'd wake up on the ground. Lena eventually testified formally during the investigation. She admitted she almost convinced herself to stay silent. "I kept thinking it wasn't my business," she told Maya quietly after one hearing. until I realized they expected everyone to look away. Dr. Mercer faced medical board hearings, fraud investigations, civil lawsuits, and possible criminal charges tied to falsified records and insurance billing. The hospital lost federal review status for its neuroscience expansion program. Major donors pulled funding. The planned neuroscience wing was officially canceled. Months later, Maya walked through her community college campus carrying books instead of emergency medication in her hands. Students passed around her without staring, without whispering, without filming. Her phone buzzed with a news alert about another executive resignation tied to the investigation. Maya looked up at the campus buildings, sunlight warming her face. The surgery they said she didn't deserve ended up exposing everything they were hiding.